Hi, this is Roger. No, it's not. Yeah, it is, honest. Well, it doesn't look like him. Well, it is, alright? I'll do a twirl. We managed to stuff 2 pillows and a duvet. Only joking. That'll use a lot less shampoo and feels an awful lot better, I must admit. Doesn't try and blow off in the wind now, it just sort of sits there. Anyway, good job done by Hannah. Another good job done by Hannah. In a packed video today, I'm going to do the details on the idea for the ebooks. That seems to be good. I'm going to announce something very silly that I've done. Lack of thought has now actually got me in a situation that I'll have to do something else about. And some bits of news and stuff, how the weekend went. And in addition to that, I'm going to have a look at my cattleyas. I need to water them really, but that can wait till tomorrow. I have got other things to do today. I'm just going to have a look through the cattleyas, primarily to see if anything's happening yet. Now I think it's too early, but it's got to be worth a look. They've been in a state of sulking, I'll call it, possibly dying quietly, and in some cases just sitting there waiting for the longer days and a bit of warmth, which they haven't got yet. Still blowing a gale out there, and more rain expected today. But yeah, so we'll have a look at the cattleyas. Now that's there's a fair few plants, but I'm not going to go into looking after them and all that sort of stuff. I just want to look at them to see if there's any signs of growth or any root activity that can be seen, to see if they've started to move yet. Now, we'll go into that. So, yeah, without further ado, let's make a start. Okay, chatty bits first before I start handling plants, and I have to switch the camera to another place to do that, obviously. The weekend, picked Hannah up okay, nice and early. The idea, you know, when she's only down for 2 days and the journey is part of both of those days, obviously the earlier we can start the better. That went okay. Got some nice breakfast on the way back. Stopping at one of those, you know, places on the side of the road that do burgers and bacon rolls and stuff like that. I had a nice bacon and egg roll, and I had a sausage roll and a cup of tea. But yeah, we got home okay. That journey was fine. The journey back on Sunday was not fine at all. It was severely blowing to the extent that pieces of trees were flying across the road and stuff. And we had torrential rain such that I had the wipers on double speed and still couldn't see at 20 miles an hour, and it's dark, you know, it was not a nice journey at all, but had to be done. Obviously Hannah has to get back for work today, and we've got more rain coming in. Until this jet stream moves or slows down, we're just going to get a sequence of low pressures like this. I think our third named storm is either came in last night across the north of England, Scotland and that, or is coming today. That's our third named storm in a week. Obviously they have to be severe enough to get a name. Anyway, so weather not too good, but quite honestly for the foreseeable future. As I say, something needs to change. That jet stream needs to move or slow down. At the moment it's got a kink in it that just drags everything across us. And then on, you know, across the North Sea into everything on that side of the North Sea, so they'll be getting it as well. Of course, if it moves north as it does that, when it gets into places like Norway and stuff like that, they don't get rain, they get heavy snow and everything, you know, and much colder temperatures. So it's a bit nasty around at the moment, and it looks like it's going on for quite a while. So that's that. When I moved in here, part of the stuff that we moved here was all the Christmas decorations, some of which haven't been used for a few years, but they've still been kept, and they all just got dumped in Hannah's room on the bed. Well, obviously she needed to use it this time round, so I said, can you give me a hand to get all this stuff up in the loft? I'll get up the ladder and you can pass it to me. So that was the plan. And then when I got up there and opened the loft hatch and got the ladder down, it was tiny. Not the loft, the entrance. You know, the ladder took up a third of it. And then I thought I was just sort of in there like this. And I thought, some of this stuff's not going to go up here. I said to Hannah, this is not very good. Plus there's a load of stuff up in there. Those of you that were around when I moved here, before I moved in, I videoed the place, or I showed video of the place, whatever. And what is the spare room that's going to become my music studio was full of shelves and stuff like that. And they've just chucked those up in the loft, right next to the loft hatch. So there's no space up there. The space is all round behind that stuff, but it's in the way, and I'm not prepared to move it all, quite honestly. So we gave up on sticking stuff up in the roof, and I said, well, we're going to have to find somewhere else to do it. And Hannah said, well, some of it can go under your bed. I thought, I don't think of these things. Oh yeah, okay, we could do that. So we put some under the bed, and she said, and also my bed is a divan bed. It's got two huge drawers that come out. Duh. So all the Christmas stuff got put away in a place where we can easily get at it. Yay! I think she needs to come down more often, doesn't she? She is a good ideas person, though. So I'm just looking at something that's... it's alright, it was annoying me. There's something up in the corner there that wasn't moving, luckily. But it was an odd shape, but it's basically a couple of things that have caught in a cobweb and formed a funny shape. So we'll forget that. That doesn't need swatting or anything, which was what I first thought. Okay, so that's that. As I say, not a good journey yesterday at all. The silly thing, as some of you saw in a video not that long ago, I've started using my label maker, and I'm making labels to put, you know, on my plants, so that I pick them up and I might have a clue what the hell they are. Most of them I know, but maybe it's an age thing that sometimes I pick a plant up and although I know what it is, the name won't come. Well, if it's written on the back or in the pot, then it's... But I'll show you what I've done. The tags were put in here because they were curly and I wanted to flatten them out a bit. So, and what I've done is I've got some black labels, and I thought this are a good idea because yellow with black writing on black labels would look really good. Well, not if the label fits on it without a border around the edge, duh. These are too thin, they're too narrow, and you know, the label fits on there virtually exactly. So what I thought I could do with these is use these for the mounts, because they're not going to show. They're going to go around the back of the mount unless the plant's going to a show, in which case it'll have to come around the front. So these are still usable, but then something else cropped up. Some plants have long names. Names longer than the tag. They're too short. So yesterday we had a look around the internet to try and find much wider tags like the ones I've currently got. I mean, if you look at the white ones that I've got now, they're much wider. They're the same length, but because I was writing on them by hand, it didn't matter, because, you know, I could squash the writing up or do whatever sort of thing, so that length was okay. But look at the width. Now if you can imagine that in black, with the nice yellow tag on it, with a nice black border all round, I think that's going to look really good. So, onto the internet. Let's find some of these in black. Pink, yellow, green, blue, white, anything but black. But I did find some, but I could only find some in 4-inch, which is the same length as this. But they will look much better for the majority of the tags. And what I'm going to have to do, I believe, is that I will have to have some tags of a different colour. Yet to be decided. But as I've got different coloured printable labels, we could find a nice combination. Like I could get, you know, what I need is some 5-inch ones as wide as that, preferably in black, but I can't find that in black at the moment. I think these are 2 centimetres wide or something like that. No, they're probably not quite as wide as that, but they're much wider than those skinny little ones anyway. So I need something like that, but 5 inches long, in black. That would be perfect, but at the moment I can't find it. But the multiple colour choices, they're there, you know, they're everywhere, they're easy to find. So what I thought I could do is I could get a set of black tags, but then a set of different coloured ones, you know, the longer version of this in a single colour, and then choose a label that goes nicely with it. You know, I mean, it could be something like I get red ones of these and use a blue printable label with black writing on. That might look nice. Or I could get yellow ones. Have I got black labels? That, do you know, what about that? Do a negative version. Have yellow ones of these, black ones of those, the printed ones with white writing on. What about that? I don't know whether I can do that. I don't know whether the label maker can do a different coloured writing. You see what I mean? Because if you had a black label and it wrote in black, you're not going to see a lot, are you? That would be even sillier than what I've already done. Right, so that's what I was on about with the silliness. Not thought through. Rushing ahead and all that sort of stuff and not thinking stuff through. So that was that. What else did I say I would do? The e-books idea. Now what we've got is effectively 95% plus, probably nearer 99% of the people who've sent a comment to me are positive about the whole idea. A few people were negative about the whole idea, but not enough to worry about, in my opinion anyway. I appreciate the comments, don't get me wrong, you know, I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion, sort of thing. You can make your opinions without being rude and without being nasty. Reasons for it are often good as well. That's what all the comments are about, sort of thing, so that's okay. But most of the people that seemed a little bit negative were about the practicalities of it, like finding a publisher. I don't need one. I'll go over why, that sort of thing. And, you know, a suitable format. I don't need to worry about that. You know, the problems that were potentially being put in the way have already been thought through and overcome. So anyway, the more detailed plans. First of all, it will be email communications, yeah? So it's private. The individual talks to me, I talk to them. It's private. It's nothing to do with the channel. Effectively, it takes it away from the channel. So it's separate, private, okay? I would like people to pay by PayPal. So somebody sends me an email and says, I would like this book or whatever. And I reply saying, yes, those are available. Cost will be so-and-so, so-and-so. My PayPal details are so-and-so. When I've received payment, I will email you back the copies as attachments. And the other thing is, obviously, when you've got them, they're yours to do with as you please, apart from I would obviously say you're not supposed to sell them and make profits yourself, although I'm not prepared to go into the procedures to stop that. I can't be bothered. I don't think people are going to do that sort of thing anyway. But obviously they would be in a printable format. And the idea is, again, somebody said, oh, you're going to need some software, you're going to need some skills. I already do the Orchid Society's magazine. I've already got desktop publishing software of a professional nature, and I know how to use it. So doing the e-books, the skill set, is all there. It's already there. I've already got all that. I'm already doing it, you know, for other things, sort of thing. So there's no learning curve there. There's a design. I will have to do a design specific, because I'd like the e-books to all have a similarity in style and design. Obviously the words and pictures will be different in each one, but they'll have the same feel about them, and I want them to relate to the channel in some way. So they will be done with the desktop publishing software. It's a professional piece of software, and in addition to that, that software allows you to save your finished product in various formats. They will be saved in PDF format, which to my knowledge is capable of being viewed on virtually every platform and every device there is. I don't even think Apple have tried to lock it out like they do. Apple try and lock everything out so that you have to use their stuff. Selfish? Possibly. But anyway, as far as I know, a PDF document can be viewed on any device and platform, and that's as far as I know. And obviously a PDF file can be printed once you've got it, and it's an easy attachment to an email. So the transporting of the documents to and from via email is already thought through. That's not going to be a problem. And all I can say is that I want people to pay by PayPal. It's a well accepted route, it's easy to use. If you haven't got a PayPal account, it's incredibly easy to set up. So that will be my primary role. As an exception, there will be one other exception only, because I'm not mucking about with checks and things like that. I'm not interested, especially as people sending checks from other countries, they're not going to work. But what I would accept as an exceptional circumstance is if somebody sends me the email and requests and says they haven't got a PayPal account, if they're capable of doing direct bank payments, then I would probably, still thinking about it, give them, because again it's an individual, you're giving an individual these details, not sharing them on YouTube or anything like that. So I could pass out my bank details and the payment could be made direct. Yeah, could do that, but I'd rather it was all collected in PayPal, quite honestly. But I'll give details out at the time, and it needs to be done properly with PayPal. There are two ways of using PayPal to make a payment, and one of those ways is buying something. And if you use that way, then there are fees. If you send some money to a friend for their birthday or something, there are no fees. So the methodology of the way PayPal is used is quite important so that the fees aren't deducted. They don't know the difference, do they? Get fed up with fees getting taken. And again, another problem that was put in the way is a platform to actually do the selling, like Amazon or eBay or Kindle or something, some of which need special specific formats and you've got to jump through hoops. I'm not using them. They all take fees, and somebody like eBay takes a lot. I'm not having it. I can deal direct with people. So you get a personal service. It'll be fast, because I check these things every single day, providing I'm in the house. So I check my email after I've done all my YouTube stuff in the morning. I have a look and see what emails I've got. Oh, there's 3 people want that ebook. Right, so reply. Asking for, sending PayPal details and stuff like that, and then eventually somebody will come through and say, I've made the payment or whatever, and they'll get it straight back. So a 2 or 3 day turnaround. No postman pat, no packaging, no worrying about cost across countries or borders or anything like that. It's just direct email. And as I said, I will set up a specific email for that purpose, which will then be in the description of all the videos, yeah? Like my normal channel email is now. Lots of people have asked about where things are, like, where can I find your merchandise store? There must be people who don't see the video descriptions, and that could be because of the device they're using. But all of this information is in the description under the video, the text under the video, it's all there. The link to the Facebook group and stuff like that. And talking of links, this morning on my Facebook group I posted something quite important. My son Tony, that's the one who helped me get all the bonsai round and plants and stuff, wants to do charitable stuff and combine it with his sporting activities, which in the main is cycling at the moment. Plus he's a personal trainer anyway, so he does climbing and other things like that. But he wants to do some endurance sporting events and raise money for good causes, basically. So you'll see on the Facebook group, I've shared his posts from his Facebook events page onto my Facebook group, which if you do the read more bit, you'll see all the sort of things that are involved there. He's using Buy Me a Coffee as well. But you know, there are some proper donation type sites that you can use to make contributions which will go to these various charities. And he asked me if I could help a bit because he hasn't got much of an audience that he can get at. And I said, well, I can put it on the Facebook group. There's 1,600 odd members on there. You know, said if only 1% take part, that's at least some. He said it's more than I'll probably get. And what I will also do, now that I've mentioned it, I will put that link to that Facebook page, the events page of Tony's Facebook thing. I'll put that link in the description of this video, so that you can go straight to that, have a read, see what you think about the event, whether you think that's a worthy cause. I mean, it is a very, very worthy cause, but I look at it from the wildlife point of view. We, as a very large number of species on this particular island, make a lot of mess, both outside and as part of our waste products. And chucking it in the sea round the coast is not on. The wildlife and things like that have been suffering for a long time. Now Tony's doing it on surfers against sewage, but I do it sort of wildlife against sewage and plastic and everything else that gets dumped. It's just people just go to the beach and take all their stuff with them and just chuck it and then go home without it. It's just wrong. And it's a mind thing. It's not just laziness, it's I don't care attitude. But anyway, he's having a go at doing something for charity, for good causes, and in doing so he's doing what to him is a rather extreme event. And this particular event is a 150-mile cycle ride in a day, which I presume is 24 hours. Which that's not going to be 8, is it? Think about it, speed times miles, or divided into miles. Anyway, so that's the event. So I've promoted that on YouTube, I've put it on the Facebook group, I've done what I can, and we'll see how that goes. I'm sure he'll be pleased for anybody who decides to join in. I don't know about the way those donation links work, but if there is a way of leaving a note when you make one of those donations, it would be nice to mention that it came from either my Facebook group or my YouTube group, so that Tony knows where it came from, if you see what I mean, as opposed to any of his contacts and things. Right, so that's enough chat and things like that. Let's have a look at some plants. I was going to move the camera over onto the work table, but I don't need to, do I? I can hold them up in front of the camera, so right. Cattleya types, we'll start with the mounted ones because they're right next to the camera, quite honestly. There's not a huge number of these. Some are predictable, some are rescues, and most of them have got no tags on. Cattleya cernua, this is effectively dormant now. It's bloomed, so new growths, leaves open, spikes come out, blooms open, blooms die, spikes get trimmed off if I can be bothered, and this will now do nothing for about 6 months. At some point it will start growing new roots again, and as soon as it does, it's coming off that mount. Yeah? Now I did have an idea of splitting some of my bigger plants and selling them on, but when I moved house we got rid of all the cardboard boxes, so I have nothing to pack orchids in, and I hate wrapping and packing orchids, so I'm not going to bother. I'd rather have larger plants, and if I can get this off in one piece and just put it on a bigger mount as the new roots start to grow, job done. So that's that one. Blooms every year, but it often blooms in a staggered way. Now this one's got no tag, and this is a little rescue, and it's doing nothing apart from the fact the sheath in there looks like it's moved slightly. I may be just imagining or wishful thinking, but this is a little rescue that's doing nothing. If it's going to do something, there will be a new growth from here, from the base, and that will provide new roots at some point during the progress of that new growth, either during just before or when it finishes. And then that'll give it a hold on the mount, and then the subsequent new growth will put the strength back into it. So it's a rescue, but it's not dying there's nothing wrong with it. The rest of the plant had something wrong with it, and that bit got taken off. So that's in that sort of state. And this is, goodness knows, but it's a Brassavola type. Some people say Brassavola. I've always heard it said as Brassavola. Anyway, that's how I say it. Doesn't really matter, does it? Well, I don't think it does. This is doing next to nothing. I think this is BC Mackay. I'm not sure. Probably. But that's doing nothing at the moment. And if it is what I think it is, it'll improve as the day lengths get longer and the temperatures get up a bit during the day because of what's in it. That's that one, and then we got this one, and this one has got a label that's faded dramatically. I think I might be, it's Cattleya Little Lemon Drops crossed with Cattleya Why Not, and this failed in a pot a while ago and got moved to a mount, and although there's no new growths on here, there's just signs of root activity. These two little green tips have formed over the last week or so, so there's signs of life on this. So it's I believe this is going to come back. This is not a problem. There's an element of strength in the plant. I mean, those are the size bulbs that this one has. I'm not waiting for a much bigger bulb. The last new growth did put up a tiny sheath down in there, but not enough to form buds. It was too weak at the time. And I would suggest it's highly likely to flower on the next new growth, which should be coming soon. Again, longer days and temperatures for that one. Lovely flowers on that. And then this one, bigger one, this is an Epicattleya Volcano Trick Orange Fire. Non-bloomer for me so far. Relatively new acquisition. It's okay. It hasn't had the problem with the roots and the bleach treatment that I messed up. So it was just mounted and it's grown some new roots. These are dormant roots at the moment, no active growing tips, no signs of a new growth yet. The latest new growth was undersized, again disturbance from receiving it and dealing with it. But it's highly likely that will bloom on the next growth, and that should come again. There's a good nub in there. Now if a new growth comes out of there, that will be good, because it'll also be possible that one will come out of there as well. But one or both, and it may well bloom on those. I say non-bloomer because I haven't had that one long. And then this, I can't for the life of me remember what this is, but this was a rescue. It was cut off a rotting plant, and then because I put it up in the other place, a bit too close to the roof, we singed it. But it's a rescue. It's sitting there doing nothing. It did produce a new growth which is grossly undersized and weak, but it has got leaves that can photosynthesize and feed the plant a little bit. Then there's not much of it to feed, so it's not that bad. It did grow a couple of roots and then it just went dormant, and that's as it's remained, and it hasn't done anything since. Well, that's that. Have we got any more mounted ones? Nothing on there, so I'll have to search. Anything around here hiding? Yeah, we've got some around here too. There's more. We've got this one. This one, I think this is the one that came from Jeff's. Either this is the one that came from Jeff's, or the one that I did earlier that has Brassavola in it. But this, so this could be BC Mackay, or that one could. And whichever one is, the other one is the one that came from Jeff's, which does have a name, but I haven't got a tag on it. It's in my notes. This one has grown some new growths. They're weak and small, but it's just coming back into growth again. So we do have a new growth here. It has grown some roots. This is not a good root system, but there's enough there for that size plant. What this needs to do is grow. It needs to start pushing out new growths and some more roots and get some strength into it again. But it's okay. You know, it's going to be okay, and it will bloom eventually. That's that one. Oh, I'm going to knock this thing over one day, I'm sure I am. And then we've got one more, which also has a tag. I say one more. Haven't we got any more lurking? Any more tucked away? It's mostly dendrobiums over here because they're closest to the glass to get the most light. Yep, this is the last mounted one. And this has a tag as well. This is a relatively new acquisition again. It's an SLC, which probably means it's a CCC. No making up your own words. And this is Seagull's Raindrop, and it's crossed with Cattleya Why Not. So I've already got one plant that's got that in the cross, and now I've got another one. And if that is dominant, then these flowers are going to be very nice. But it's a new acquisition, it's yet to bloom. Its latest new growth was bigger than anything else, so this has been grown on from a young plant and is now possibly reaching maturity, but it might need another growth to mature, and the following growth will be the one that first blooms, because this is not a strong plant at the moment. It's only got a few leaves, but then it hasn't got huge canes to support. It's got a root system, not active at the moment, but some new roots have grown. They're white, they're active, they hydrate. So this will push on, this will be okay. Right, so that's the Cattleya types on mounts. Now pots. My Laelia anceps is buried in amongst my show display, and I'm not getting it out. So it can stay there. All my other Cattleya types in pots are all on one, they're all on this high shelf round here. So I can pick them off one at a time, dump them on the workbench and come back to them. Workbench, that's got something important on it. Which is nearly stone cold, so this is going to be a long video. Haven't got a clue what this is. I can find out what it is. The name is in my notes, and the video where I split these up shows this one going in this pot. But that's the only way I can find out what this is, because I don't remember. But one day it will bloom again, probably. Now that is dormant, and it's just sitting there doing nothing. It has some roots. It's reasonably firm in this. I've jammed the because this is in this sort of bark. It's rock hard, absolutely rock hard, and big. So it's not a very good potting media for holding plants up. But you can jam a piece inside another piece and make it absolutely solid by force, basically, but without shattering all your roots. So this will pull on. It's okay. The latest growth on there is not desiccated. We've got green leaves, but it's dormant at the moment. I would suggest it's not dormant, it's sulking, because of the disturbance it had. So that's that one. Then we've got this one, which I can see a few scale on, but they have been sprayed. They may well be dead. Do they come off easily? Yeah, they do. So they're probably dead. That doesn't mean they're all gone, of course, as usual. But anyway, this is the red Cattleya with the ridiculously long name. So it's Siang Yu Red Pearl, and it's the variety Red Dragonfly. And this has buds. Now several of that bud would have been a large cluster, but several in the centre have actually blasted, and it looks like there's 4 that are going to progress, so we will get those blooms. And with a name like that, can you guess the colour? Yeah, it's red. My only red Cattleya. Well, actually Cernua is red, I keep forgetting that little one. But this one has a strange growth habit. It's bolt upright and quite compact. You know, the rhizome between each pseudobulb is very tight. So it's a very compact, upright plant. That's had no staking or training, it just does it like that. And I like that. It's good stuff. Anyway, this one suffered with the roots problem. It has grown some roots since then, so it has an adequate root system for that plant. After it's bloomed, we'll get at least 1 new growth, possibly 2, because it does have two potential leads. This is the other one round here. So we could get 2 new growths on there. But it's in a weakened state because of the roots got manked, but we do have buds. that one. We've got a biggie. This is my remaining purpurata. My Atropurpurea was dumped, it failed. That never recovered from the problem with the roots, and it just collapsed basically. This one struggled for a bit and then settled down into a state of, I call it dormancy. The purpuratas have a cycle which does involve a period of rest where they don't do anything, they don't grow. And this is the variety striata, so that's the one I've got left. Now this is in the older Orchiata bark. Could probably do with coming out and being repotted, but I'm not disturbing it now simply because, although it might be a good time, you may think, because we do have some root activity starting, and if there's some there, there's going to be some in the pot as well. But I want this to grow another pair of new growths if possible. Now I had a growth started on here. It's got 2 leads. It's actually 2 pieces. So it is obviously got 2 leads. It's 2 plants. But this was its latest growth, which has got these marks on which I don't like, but they're dry and they haven't got any bigger since they arrived. At the base of that pseudo bulb we do actually have an eye which could potentially grow. And it put out this growth, and which got to about that big and stopped, and it had all these black marks on, and I thought that's going to fail. And then suddenly it started growing again, so it isn't going to fail. It's going to actually grow on. And right at the very base of that there is root activity just starting, so we're also going to get some new roots to grow with that new growth. Chances of it blooming, I would say, are somewhere close to 0, but we shall wait and see. And then on the other plant, this was the latest growth, slightly smaller, but nonetheless still there and capable of producing another new growth soon. So we shall see what happens with that side. I'm just checking to see what state the scale's in. There's a few there, but nothing to worry about. Anyway, so that's the striata. That's a big strappy plant, that one, wobbles all over the place. And every time you pick it up, you knock 2 plants over. It pushes its luck sometimes. Now, this is my apple blossom. This isn't a bad plant, but this went into a state of sulk because of its disturbance. It got repotted and it didn't like it, objected to it. Nonetheless, there's a pot full of roots there, currently not active, and it has 2 leads in there somewhere. It's a bit of a tangle. And the latest growth on one of the leads was minute, tiny. So, you know, not good at all. But that will come back. That will start to grow again. It's just having a sulk at the moment. It'll come back. New growth will form with the longer days and better temperatures. That will pull on. Yeah, so that's that one. I like that one a lot. Lovely blooms, and they last a while as well. And then the other one that went into this open basket idea also has no label, and I haven't got a clue what it is. But again, it's not dying, it's okay, its latest growth is green, it's got a solid base to it, so there's no rot set in the rhizome or anything. It's sort of okay, it hasn't got very good roots, but at some point this growth will produce another one. And that's where the new roots will come from, and then it'll get itself set up in this environment. Very easy to get loose floppy plants in this environment when you pot something at first, because the roots can't hold on to anything. But once the roots grow, they'll grab hold and they will attach to the basket to a degree. And because it's got great big holes in, we go to the point where we don't care, because it can stay in there forever. And if it grows out and the roots grow down the outside, so be it. It can be stood in a bigger pot. So that's the idea of that. Whatever it is. And then this again has lost its tag. I'd have to go back to the repotting video. That could be Francis Fox, I suppose, looking at the size of it. But I can't remember, and at the moment I'm not bothered. Either way, you know, I'm prepared to just water and feed these as required, keep my eye on them, and eventually they'll bloom, and then we can go, ah, that's what it is. But if it's Francis Fox and it blooms, it'll be the first time. Now this is potted up in the same way as that open basket I've just shown you, except it's in a holy clay pot. But it's in this stuff, which is rock hard, which means the plant isn't absolutely firm in that pot. So I had to jam some of these in down the sides to sort of lock a few pieces in place to stop it falling all over the place. But again, once new roots come, it'll be off. And have we got any sign of new roots on this one yet? Or new growth? No. So again, either not growing, actually there is an eye, just looks like it's moving at the base of this pseudobulb. So this one could be coming back into growth. Again, longer days, warmer temps will trigger all these things off. And the next one don't look so good at the moment, but you know, we shall see. As I said, I'm surprised some of them made it at all. Now, why doesn't this one look so good? Well, this one doesn't look so good because of the obvious, which you can see from the other side of the grow room. But what about this? That is soft and wet. It's rot. And it's in a place that I can cut off. I'm not going to do it now because I need my... Actually, I've got my secateurs. The trouble is when I cut it off, most of the roots are attached to the piece I'm now going to cut off, and they're all down in the bark. So to get this piece out, it's probably going to unpot it and it'll go all over the floor. But that is a bacterial infection, I suspect. The chances are it's already got in the rest of the plant and the whole plant will go. But if we cut it off there and then try and cut the roots too, so that I can just lift that piece out without disturbing the rest of the plant too much. The roots will stay there tough, you know, I just want this out of the way so that it can't infect anything else. Unfortunately, the majority, oops, as expected, the majority of the roots are on that piece. So we will pick those bits up. My knees are not too clever lately. And tuck that back in, whoops, and jam a couple of pieces to make it nice and rigid. So that's all I do, I just jam these in. They're so rock hard, it's like pushing stones together. That's just to hold it still with the few roots it's got left. And then what's left is either going to die because the rock got in there, or as it was the front of the plant, it should push a new growth out. But I don't hold out a lot of hope for that one, I must admit. But what's left has got green leaves and is solid and not rotten. It depends whether, so when you get a bacterial infection, it can be going through the rhizome and up inside another pseudobulb, and you can't see it yet because it hasn't reached the outside. So that's debatable, that one, even though we don't know what it is. Just remember to clean those secateurs. And then we've got this species which just doesn't grow right, it never has. I'm beginning to wonder whether this one's actually got a virus. It's difficult to tell. But this is Harrisoniana, and it's a strange one because that's a species, obviously. And it's a variety Volcano Queen crossed with Binot. So that's two named varieties of Harrisoniana, but it still makes it Harrisoniana at the end of the day. So, yeah, a strange idea. But the latest growth on here went all twisted. Hopefully you can see the ridges on the pseudobulb. They twist. Well, that one did as well. Maybe it's natural, but I don't think it is. I think it's just wrong. And the leaves are, I mean that leaf, you know, this is the latest growth. Those leaves have had it. And all the others have had it. So it just won't grow properly. And I've got a feeling I'm going to have to backtrack on this. There's somebody else's teeth, I'm breaking them in. Because I got a feeling the last blooms we had on here had colour break on them. Now I'm going to do that later. I will go back and check. And if they did, that's going out. Because it's not, you know, it's failing. It's just not growing. There's no life in these leaves at all. So it's not hydrating itself. And even if it gets a new growth, it's still got no strength because none of these leaves are any good. So that's borderline remaining. You might have to go that one. And the last one, another biggie. This is a non-bloomer, relatively new acquisition. It's an RLC. What's R nowadays? I've forgotten. Rhyncho something or other. And then Laelia cattleya. A lot of the Laelias got reclassified anyway. It's funny actually, I keep saying, you know, like a BLC, Brassavolas, a lot of those got reclassified. The L, a lot of the Laelias did. But I keep forgetting the C on the end because quite a lot of the cattleyas have been reclassified. They're not cattleyas anymore. Yeah, could be a BFG. I don't know. But anyway, it's Taiwan Goodlife, Big Wilson. And that was one I bought last year sometime, or possibly the year before. I haven't had it too long. Hasn't bloomed yet. It's okay. Its roots are in a relaxed state, I'll say now. They're not growing. There's no active root tips growing anywhere. Latest growth is strong. A new growth will come on this in the not too distant future, either off of that pseudo bulb or that one, probably that one. And this one has obviously flowered, but not while I had it. So I'm still not sure whether that's the latest growth or that one is. One of the two, because it splits. The rhizome actually splits. It's not a natural progression. It's difficult to know which one came first. But that one is slightly desiccated, but the leaf's okay. That one's nice and plump and just ribbed, so that one's okay. And this one here, in the leaf joint, is full of scale. That's the clusters I was talking about with scale. Those are they're not the adults, they're not breeding scale as such, but they are capable of making the adult scale, the sort of little shell limpet type things. But what those do is form a cluster, and it gets a waxy coating on it. So you can spray that as much as you like, you won't kill them. You might kill a few on the surface, but you won't kill that cluster. They're there, and they will move from there now and again, so they can migrate. And the way you get rid of those is to get a sharp pointy thing like the end of your scissors or a toothpick or something like that, and hook the flipping things out and then destroy them physically. That's how I like to destroy scale. Live through that then. And then get a spray in there to get any that are still left or down in the pointy bit. But when you get a cluster like that, the spray doesn't get at them. So that needs dealing with now. I've got to find a pointy thing, that'll be my scissors, and then give that a spray. So as I say, I've still got scale around. I'm never going to be without them, I don't think. And I'm not in a position to go back to using the hippie soap yet, even though that did seem to work. But again, it needs regular treatment because it's non-systemic. But it did seem to work. It does make the leaves nice and shiny and nice and clean. It is soap at the end of the day. But the hippie soap can start being used again when the days are long enough and the temperatures are good enough that I can absolutely soak the plant, because you've got to soak the lot, or there's no point in doing it. Underside of the leaves, top side of the leaves, leaf joints, bulbs, canes, base, and the top of the pot. You've got to do the lot, basically, and that makes it rather wet, and that needs to dry before it goes into night time when the temperature's going to drop. And I'm not in a position where I can do that yet, so I won't. But I haven't given up on the hippie soap, we will come back to it. So that's that one, and that is the last one. So that's a look round the cattleyas. I hate to think how long this video is. Am I bothered? Am I bothered? Bothered? No. So that's that, and here endeth today. No care guides or anything there, that's just a look at. A lot of that was for my benefit, just to see if anything's coming back into growth yet. Because they're not due to be watered directly. I suppose I'll probably end up doing them tomorrow, maybe the day after. I haven't got to that faster frequency of watering yet because I've still got cold nights, and even with this door open during the day, the weather's warmer enough now that I don't need the heating on all day, so I'm not getting a fair bit of heat coming out of the house into here to raise the daytime temperatures. So I'm not triggering a lot of growth yet, but the day lengths really are getting longer now. It's noticeable. So there we go, quick look at the Cattleyas. And as I say, as far as I'm concerned, the response I got about the e-books makes it a go. There's no question. There's far too many people said they like the idea and would be willing, to take part. So that's a go. That's just a matter of getting on with it. Right, it's Monday today. On Saturday is Bournemouth Orchid Society's first show of the year, their spring show, which I will be at. I'll be there bright and early because Hannah's not coming. So I can go there early. It's only just up the road from here. So I shall be off bright and early to help set up cloths on tables and all that sort of stuff. Generally get in the way like I do. I don't know whether I'm going to take any plants. If my Ornithorhynchum, 95% certain, has still got those two spikes on and not many blooms have blasted, I'm going to take that in because I am going to enjoy so much informing individuals that it's not pink, it's yellow. I'm not doing the story on my YouTube channel again, I've done it more than enough times. But yes, there will be those with heads buried in the sand and 50-year-old books that still believe that name goes with a pink fragrant Oncidium, and it doesn't. The pink fragrant one's been renamed as Soto Alum, which I've also got. I'd love to have both of them in bloom at the same time. Anyway, so I might take that one in because of the controversy that it will generate. Trouble is, I'll probably have to get the verification up on my phone somewhere so that I can go read an intake. Yeah. The book was written 50 years ago. It stated what was deemed to be the truth at that time. That this is what I can't say it again. I got away with it once, I'm not going to get it twice. But they will show a picture of that lovely pink bloom, and state that it's fragrant and this is how you look after it. And they will have the name that was correct at the time, to their knowledge, but it's not correct anymore. But who's going to go and cross it out in the book and put the right information in? It's never going to happen, is it? This is why I object to the old scrolls and runes, as I jokingly call them, but that's what I'm getting at. Even a book that was written 20 years ago would still not have that information in, because it was only discovered in 2009. Yeah, through a DNA check. So it's recent stuff, and the recent stuff is going to be on the internet. It's not going to be in a book. It's not going to be in an article, that was written for an Orchid Society donkeys years ago. So the latest information will be on the internet in the main, and it's up to the people on the internet that can verify these things and want to pass it on to do so. And then perhaps write an article for an Orchid Society, or the RHS, or the Orchid Society of Great Britain. But if you're going to do something like for the Orchid Society of Great Britain, and you're going to put that sort of controversial subject in, many of the people reading that will disagree with you, because they've had the original knowledge for all of their lives, and now you're telling them that they were wrong, they understood it wrong, because they were told wrong. And they'll object. So you'd have to put all the verification in an article like that, at that level. So you'd have to put all the references in, and it would be complicated. I can't be bothered. Here we go again, look, bothered? No. No new blooms, we can't go down that path. Other plants I might take in, I may well take my Zygo in, because the second spike's just opened its first bloom. It's got a week. There should be another one or two on that spike, and possibly the other two on this spike. Now, it's not a good plant, but it'll still make a nice display, on the competition tables. And it goes in a strange place, because that hasn't got a classification. It goes in any other orchid. And you can get all sorts in there. You can get some marvellous stuff turns up in that class. So that's probably all I'll be able to take. Nothing else is really into it. My lovely purple one over there is going over. It's already dropped 2 blooms in nearly a week's time. There's not going to be much left on there. The bobcat's gone. Tahitian dancer. Those blooms haven't long been open. 2 spikes. They could be strapped closer together to make a show-worthy display. That's all you've got to think about when you put something in a show. That doesn't work like that. That does. 2 nice upright spikes like that, with most of the blooms facing the same way. That works. And that's not a bad looking plant. There's no spots or manky leaves, so I'll probably take that, providing the blooms hang on and don't start to go over. So I might take a couple of plants in. Because I'm going early, I can do that. When Hannah comes to the show, because I have to pick her up on the Saturday, we get there late. And between us getting there and the public coming in, I've got to photograph everything for the magazine. So I've got to go around with my DSLR and get stills representing all of the plants that have got like an award. I don't do first, second and third in every class anymore. It's too tedious. But I need a picture of the first, with its certificate or its silverware or whatever I can get. So I just follow the judges round, and as they do that sort of thing, the get out of the way, click. Get out of the way, click. Are you going to move? Click. Because they do take their time. But yeah, so I have to do that prior to the public coming in. If I don't make it and there's still some photos outstanding, I can still get those photos while the public are there. It's just not as easy, because a lot of the time you've got like quite a tall plant and I have to stand back. And if you're at a show and you stand back, somebody's just going to walk straight in front of you and stand there. And although I'd love to go, with a big sort of Caxton to inform people you've just stood directly in front of somebody taking a picture, are you blind? I can't be rude. I have got Bournemouth Orchid Society on my shirt, so we don't want to upset people. It's a nice atmosphere at shows, you don't want to upset people. But there is a stress, a pressure thing that's put on me to get those pictures for the magazine, because it's important. That goes out to all the members, it's an important document. And the last one was nearly 3 months late. I was a bit busy. Well, that busyness is gone now, I'll have no excuse. So anyway, that's it for today. Bit of a mix. I'll see you next time. Okay, it's Monday now, so we're part way through the week. Saturday there will be no video unless I've stored one up, but then you will have the film of the show. And that's not going to be a 2-minute jobby, because it should be quite extensive, and Burnham's will be there, Lawrence Hobbs is there, and Trey Saunders is there, which is Orchid Botanics, I think his website is, and his company name. And they've taken the place of somebody who doesn't seem to want to come out to play anymore, which was Peter White. But anyway, and he has only species basically, he doesn't do hybrids or anything, and he has some very, very unusual stuff that you can't find anywhere else a lot of the time. He does his own direct imports and things, and I don't know what he'll bring along, but I shall have a look when I get there prior to the public coming in. If there's anything of interest, those will be my first purchases for the year. I have actually got a note to him, because in his list of things that were expected in his next import, there was one dendrobium I wanted, and it was one I had a very, very long time ago, and I grew it wrong. A long time ago, and I grew it wrong. These definitely are somebody else's teeth today. And now I know that, I could get that one again and look after it, and it was Trigonopus. You can look it up. Not a miniature, but a small growing dendrobium with gorgeous, long-lasting, fragrant, waxy flowers on, which is what attracted me to it. But then, as I said, I grew it wrong and killed the flipping thing. But if I could get hold of another one, I would. It's one that I would gladly replace. So there we go. A long video, I'm afraid, but so be it. It's Sunday. It's the equivalent of Sunday, and it seems traditional that the longer video is the Sunday chat one. People don't seem to mind. You can always watch it in bits, I suppose. And I'll tag on the end, last thing, don't forget to take a look at my son's endurance sport event and see if you can support that. That'll be good. And if you haven't subscribed, it would be nice if you did so. Don't forget the thumbs up. There's the merchandise store in the description, which supports the channel, and you get an item, you know, you actually get something of use. And you've still got the Patreon site. I've had a couple of new ones recently. Thank you for joining and the support. And the Buy Me a Coffee, I still look at that Buy Me a Coffee as a tip, like you would do if you were ate out 2 or 3 times a week. Every now and again you're going to get a meal that is really special. You think, oh, that was absolutely superb. We'll leave a good tip this time. That's what the Buy Me a Coffee is for. It's not for regular donations or anything like that. It's for a one-off that you just thought was very useful for you or something like that. And that's the end of the finance stuff. I don't like plugging that, I must admit. But any support for the channel is gratefully received. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for dropping by.